My dad passed away, yet the bank is asking for his personal signature. You heard right. Just the day after my dad's funeral, I went to the bank with his bank card that had 2 million in it. The card contained the savings he had accumulated for me through a lifetime of frugality. I pushed the death certificate, household registration book, my ID card, and all the documents that could prove my dad is my dad and that I am his only son neatly to the counter window. But the female clerk behind the counter didn't even lift her eyelids and just lightly said 4 words.
The information is complete.
What's missing? The notarized will from the notary office, the death certificate, the cremation certificate, the relationship proof. Everything is here.
Our bank has a policy that for large withdrawals, especially those involving inheritance, the account holder must be present to confirm.
I thought I misheard. An absurd rage surged from my feet to the top of my head. In person, didn't you see the proof? My father is no longer here. How can someone who has passed away be present?
What are you yelling about? Rules are rules. The person must come in person. If you think the rules are unreasonable, go talk to our manager. Don't just yell at me here.
I stared at her intently and saw the name on her badge, Fang Min. An elderly man waiting in line nearby couldn't stand it and spoke up.
Young lady, this situation is special. Can't you make an exception? The person is gone. How can they come?
Rules are rules. Are you going to take responsibility if something goes wrong? You're worrying unnecessarily.
I stared at her indifferent face, my chest heaving violently. I leaned down to the window, gathered all the documents one by one, and calmly said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "All right, it's the rule, right? You need the person to come in person, right? I will personally bring my father here." After saying that, I turned and left. Fang Min's contemptuous face and provocative words swirled in my mind like a curse. That wasn't a regulation, it was harassment and humiliation, and a second injury to someone who has lost a close relative. Leaving the bank, I drove to Tianli Law Firm on the outskirts of the city. Uncle Wang, the person in charge, was my father's old comrade for decades, and an elder who watched me grow up.
Xiao Yu, why are you here? You look so pale. Did something happen?
Uncle Wang's tone was very concerned, and I didn't stand on ceremony telling Uncle Wang the whole story.
Nonsense! This is no longer about being unfamiliar with the business. This is pure malice, using trivial authority to deliberately make things difficult.
Seeing Uncle Wang, who is usually calm, so angry also eased some of the frustration in my heart. Uncle Wang, since they want my dad to be there in person, then I'll bring my dad over.
Xiao Yu, are you saying?
Uncle Wang looked at me in shock. That's right. I'm going to the funeral home to transport my father's coffin along with his body to the bank lobby and ask that Fang Min in front of everyone if this counts as him being present.
Calm down first. Uncle knows you are angry, but doing this has too much impact. If you're not careful, you could go from being in the right to being in the wrong, and you might even break the law.
That's why I came to you, Uncle Wang. I need your help. I want to make sure every step I take is within legal boundaries. Aren't they talking about regulations?
I will argue with them to the end. Next, I laid out my plan from start to finish, consult the civil affairs and funeral management departments to handle the legal procedures for temporary relocation of the remains, stating that the reason is the bank's request, and we need to cooperate, recording and videotaping the entire process to leave evidence. Second, contact a qualified funeral service company to use professional vehicles and personnel for transportation, ensuring the entire process is solemn and respectful, without any disrespect to my father's remains. Contact the media in advance, but do not proactively expose the situation. If there is any obstruction, ensure a third party records everything. I want them to know that I am not messing around, but rather following their ridiculous rules. I want everyone to see how this bank's regulations have forced a son who just lost his father to defend the deceased's dignity in this way.
What a way to follow the rules. Since they dare to block the road, we dare to make a hole in the sky for them. Xiao Yu, go ahead and do it. I'll cover you legally.
I will immediately contact a friend in civil affairs to consult on the procedure process, and the funeral company guarantees to arrange the most professional team. An experienced reporter covering social news will turn your experience into a headline story.
With Uncle Wang's support, the last bit of hesitation in my heart vanished. They want regulations? We'll give them regulations. They want the person? We'll give them the person.
I want to see what expression that Fang Min and her superiors will have when the coffin is placed in front of them. Oh, Xiao Yu, all the procedures have been arranged. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Go ahead and do what you want to do.
The next morning, Uncle Wang called, and then I arrived at the funeral home. Looking at my father lying in the crystal coffin, I bowed deeply.
Father, I'm sorry. Your son is going to disturb your rest. Your dignity is more important than anything, and today, your son will seek justice for you.
At 2 in the afternoon, on Financial Street bustling with traffic, a stretched Lincoln hearse adorned with white wreaths slowly arrived at the bank entrance, followed by 4 black cars with their hazard lights on. This eerie combination immediately attracted all passers-by to stop and curiously look on. I was the first to get out of the car, followed by 8 strong men in black suits and white gloves, who opened the hearse's trunk. When the crystal-clear coffin appeared in the sunlight, there was an immediate gasp from the crowd. Countless phone cameras were aimed at us.
What are you doing? This is a bank! You can't cause trouble here!
This is the permit issued by the Civil Affairs Department. We are legally relocating. Didn't you require the person to be present to claim the inheritance? Now I have brought my father himself. My voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. The crowd instantly erupted.
What? The bank wants the deceased to personally come to withdraw money.
Did I hear that right? What kind of underworld operation is this?
This is outrageous! It's pushing people to their limits!
Quick, take a picture and post it online. Let everyone see the true face of this bank.
The murmurs and curses merged into a taunt. I ignored the security guards and gave the order to the 8 strong men. Lift the coffin! As the bank's glass door slowly rotated, the crystal coffin was placed in the center of the lobby by 8 men in black suits. When the people in the bank lobby saw a coffin being carried in, everyone was shocked with their mouths wide open, and screams and exclamations erupted one after another. Fang Min, who was chatting with a lady, had her smile freeze instantly and started shouting. The fake smile on the face of the lobby manager, Wu Jiawei, who was patrolling the hall, also froze.
This is outrageous! Truly outrageous! Where are the security guards? Kick them out for me!
I walked to the counter and placed my father's enlarged and framed black and white portrait squarely on the counter, facing Fang Min's bloodless face. Miss Fang, my father is now present and we can proceed with the transaction. Fang Min's lips trembled, her teeth chattering, making a clattering sound, and the fear in her eyes was almost overflowing.
You are legend.
I'm crazy? It's you all who drove me crazy. You said it yourself. Rules are rules. The person must be present. Now the person is here, so go ahead and handle it for me.
My roar echoed in the hall. Wu Jiawei finally reacted, wiping cold sweat as he rushed over and shouted at me sternly.
You're disturbing public order. I'm going to call the police.
Call the police? Sure, go ahead. It would be perfect for you to explain to the police in person how thorough your bank's regulations are. It would also be good for everyone in Jiangsheng to see how you forced a son who just lost his father to bring this wooden box to the bank. My words drew a chorus of agreement from the onlookers.
The bank is just being too unreasonable.
Report to Uncle Hat. Let Uncle Hat come and judge.
Wu Jiawei didn't expect that I wasn't afraid at all, and instead made this situation even bigger. He took out his phone, fumbling to dial the police, but his voice already had a sobbing tone.
Hello, is this 110? This is the Yaojin Bank Financial Street headquarters. Someone brought a wooden box to cause trouble. Please come quickly.
After hanging up the phone, he seemed to gain confidence and pointed at me, shouting.
Wait, the police will be here soon. Let's see how you handle it then.
The sound of sirens approached from afar, sharply cutting through the clamor above Financial Street. 2 police cars, with red and blue lights flashing, stopped at the bank entrance, which was completely blocked by the crowd. Wu Jiawei, as if seeing a savior, scrambled out and grabbed the arm of the leading middle-aged police officer.
Officer, you're finally here. Quick, arrest that lunatic. He even brought in the deceased's portrait.
The middle-aged policeman frowned, brushed off Wu Jiawei's hand, and squeezed into the crowd with a young officer. When he saw the huge coffin in the center of the hall, and me sitting quietly beside it, a trace of astonishment flashed across his experienced face. He didn't take immediate action, but instead surveyed the scene. The angry crowd, the flashing phone cameras, and the black and white portrait on the counter. He immediately realized that this matter wasn't so simple.
I am the chief of the Chengxi police station. My surname is Lu. Can this young comrade tell me what exactly happened?
I stood up, nodded slightly at him, and then pointed to Fang Min, who was slumped behind the counter, and Wu Jiawei, who looked anxious.
Director
Wu
Li,
Jiawei immediately rushed to speak.
Director Lee, this guy came to claim a 2 million inheritance and She said that according to the regulations, the person must be present or provide a notarized document. This is the bank's rule. Who knew she actually...
Director Li interrupted her, pointing at the death certificate I placed on the counter. Regulations? The death certificate is right here. Your regulations are rigid, but people are living. Don't you have any flexibility? Fang Min quietly defended herself, her voice tinged with sobs.
We are also considering the security of the funds.
An older woman in the crowd couldn't stand it anymore and shouted loudly.
Financial security? I think you're just making things difficult on purpose.
Someone just lost their father and you're here making sarcastic comments. Do you have any conscience? Exactly! You push people to this point and still think you're justified.
The crowd's denunciations grew louder and louder, yet Wu Jiawei and Fang Min still hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation. Wu Jiawei whispered something with a mischievous smile to Fang Min. Director Li gestured for everyone to quiet down. He looked at me and sighed. I handed over the Civil Affairs Department's permit and my father's death certificate. Director Li took the documents and examined them carefully, then looked up at me, his expression gradually becoming complex, finally turning into a barely noticeable sympathy.
Manager Wu, this gentleman's procedures are legal and do not violate any public security regulations. Legally speaking, we have no right to interfere.
Legal? Comrade? He even brought in the family member's portrait? Is this still legal?
He is complying with your bank's regulations. This is an internal dispute, and it is not appropriate for us, the police, to intervene. What we can do now is maintain order here to prevent the situation from worsening.
After speaking, he and another colleague began to disperse the onlookers, but it was clear to anyone paying attention that they were just maintaining order, with no intention of making me leave. Wu Jiawei's last lifeline was thus cut off. At that moment, a reporter squeezed through the crowd and thrust a microphone directly in front of me.
Hello, sir. We are reporters from the Urban Channel. We just saw your post online. Could you please recount the events in front of the camera?
Wu Jiawei and Fang Min turned pale when they saw the camera. The situation had completely blown up. Wu Jiawei instinctively tried to cover the lens, but the reporter deftly dodged.
Don't film! No filming allowed!
However, his attempt to stop it seemed weak and powerless. Not only were the TV reporters there, but hundreds of phones around were live streaming. I spoke calmly and hoarsely into the camera. My name is Sun Zeyu, and in the family portrait behind me lies my father, Sun Changhai, who passed away 3 days ago. I came to withdraw money to handle his funeral arrangements, but they told me that my father must be present in person. Rules are rules. My questioning spread throughout the city via the camera. The female reporter was also affected by my emotions, her eyes reddening. She immediately turned the microphone towards the trembling Wu Jiawei and Fang Min.
Is what this gentleman said true? Are your bank's regulations really so inhumane?
Wu Jiawei's lips trembled, unable to utter a single word. Fang Min didn't dare to face the camera, her body shaking like a leaf in the autumn wind. Their silence was the best answer. At that moment, my phone rang. I answered the call and pressed the button below.
Hello, is this Mr. Sun Zeyu? I am the bank manager of Yaojin Bank. My name is Zhou Ming.
Wu Jiawei heard this name. His legs went weak, and he almost knelt on the ground.
Mr. Sun, our staff was not familiar with the procedures and misunderstood the regulations. On behalf of the bank, I offer my sincerest apologies to you and your deceased father. Please do not let the media report further. We will immediately send someone to assist you with the withdrawal, and we are willing to offer an additional 200,000 as compensation for your emotional distress. Just hoping you can.
Shut up! Manager Joe, is it? Now you think of apologizing. It's too late. I'm telling you, I'm not after money. I just want justice.
After speaking, I directly hung up the phone. Wu Jiawei and Fang Min were already ashen-faced, collapsed on the ground. I sat back down, quietly watching the clock on the wall, each tick of the second hand like a death knell, counting down the end of some people's careers. 20 minutes later, a black Audi A6 screeched to a halt at the bank entrance. It was Director Zhou Ming. He jogged all the way into the bank lobby.
Mr. Sun, I'm sorry, truly sorry. It's my poor management that caused you distress.
President Zhou, did you hear my request clearly?
Understood. I'll handle it right away.
He straightened up, turned to face Wu Jiawei and Fang Min, who were already scared stiff, and the humility on his face instantly turned into thunderous anger. Wu Jiawei, Fang Min.
As employees of the bank, not only did you fail to solve customers' problems, but you also had a bad attitude and made things difficult for them, severely damaging the reputation of our Yaojin Bank and causing an extremely negative social impact. From now on, you two are officially dismissed. The head office will record your behavior in the files, and the entire financial industry will permanently blacklist you. Fang Min burst into tears, knelt on the ground, and crawled towards Zhou Ming, hugging his leg.
Governor, please no! Governor, please no! Governor, I was wrong. I really was wrong. I'm begging you, please give me another chance.
Wu Jiawei also completely broke down. He knelt on the ground and desperately kowtowed to me.
Mr. Sun, I was wrong. I failed to recognize your importance. I'm not worthy. Please be merciful and spare me. I have a wife and children to support at home.
I watched them weeping bitterly, feeling no sympathy, only a cold satisfaction. I ignored her cries and just looked coldly at Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming immediately understood and waved to the security guards behind him.
Pull those two aside for me.
2 security guards immediately stepped forward and dragged away Wu Jiawei and Fang Min like dead dogs. Zhou Ming straightened his attire and walked to my father's coffin and portrait. Under the watchful eyes of all the people in Jiangcheng, this usually lofty branch manager deeply bowed his noble waist.
Mr. Sun, I apologize. It is our bank that has wronged you. We failed to manage our employees properly, causing your family to suffer such great grievance and humiliation after your passing. On behalf of Yaojin Bank, I extend our sincerest apologies to you.
At this moment, all the flashlights went off wildly, capturing this historic scene. The surrounding crowd erupted in a restrained cheer. This was a victory for the weak, a challenge from an ordinary person against a vast and indifferent system, and ultimately, a victory was won.
Yes, Mr. Sun, your criticism is right. We will definitely learn from this and deeply reflect.
I walked up to my father's portrait. Dad, your son has sought justice for you. Let's go home. Zhou Ming quickly followed, his face full of a humble smile.
Mr. Sun, I will immediately arrange for the best teller to open a priority channel for your transaction.
I stopped and looked back at him. I took a bank card out of my pocket and tossed it to him. I ignored him and turned to follow the procession of the hearse. The crowd automatically made a wide path for us. I could hear people whispering.
This young man is truly a brave soul.
It's so satisfying. That's exactly how these snobs should be dealt with.
Who would dare say honest people are easy to bully in the future?
Holding my father's portrait, I walked out of this place that brought me extreme humiliation and also allowed me to win ultimate dignity step by step. As I stepped out of the bank's door, sunlight shone on me. We got back into the car and the convoy slowly started, leaving Financial Street under countless cameras and gazes. In the car, my tense nerves finally completely relaxed at this moment. I leaned back in the seat, watching the rapidly receding street scene outside the window, and tears flowed down unexpectedly. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't grievance, it was release. 3 days later, at Xishan Cemetery, I held the most grand funeral for my father, allowing him to leave with dignity. I personally placed my father's urn in the plot I had chosen for him. On the tombstone, I engraved only one line, "The tomb of loving father Sun Changhai."
I sat alone in front of the tombstone, and I burned the apology letter issued by Yaojin Bank and signed by Zhou Ming in front of the tombstone. The flames rose, turning those hypocritical words into ashes. Dad, I don't need their hypocritical apology. I just want you to rest in peace here. Those who bullied us have already paid the price. A mountain breeze blew by, scattering the ashes, as if my father was responding to me. I stood up and bowed deeply to the tombstone.
The impact of that incident in Jiangcheng was even more far-reaching than I imagined. The Coffin Bank event became the biggest news in Jiangcheng that year. I, Sun Zeyu, also became a well-known tough guy in Jiangcheng. The reputation of Yaojin Bank plummeted. It is said that Zhou Ming was quickly transferred from his position due to mishandling, while Wu Jiawei and Fang Min faced an even more miserable fate, being permanently banned from the industry, meaning they could never find work in any financial institution again. I have no sympathy for their outcome. They chose their own path, and when they decided to trample on an ordinary person's dignity with indifference and arrogance, they should have expected such a result. I did not revel in the thrill of victory. With the money my father left, I opened a small bookstore near the university town. The bookstore is not big, but it is very quiet. Every day, I organize books, brew a pot of tea, and watch the students coming and going outside the window, experiencing an unprecedented peace and tranquility in life.